How's it going? Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Siphon, and welcome back to Guts Clout Carnage, the podcast where we break down the illusions of order, the psychology of belief, and the unseen systems that guide what we call reality. In today's episode, I'll be discussing about one of the most beautiful and most underrated countries in the world. Today's topic, Tanzania. They seem to be on the brink of something big internally as a nation, at the crossroads of power and influence. What I want to know is what's really going on behind the headlines. I will be giving you my breakdown of what I think is going on in Tanzania and where it may end up. I love Tanzania, I truly do. And on that note, it is that time, so let's go ahead, let's grab our coffee, let's grab our OJ or our water, sit back, get comfy, and let's get into the show. Tanzania. You ever notice how history repeats itself, but the remix always sounds a little louder? That's kind of what's going on. That's kind of what's going down right now in Tanzania. It's not chaos on the surface, no tanks rolling through Dar es Salaam, no fiery headlines about coups or riots, but if you listen closely, the frequency is shifting. The people are restless, the elites are cautious, and the institutions, it seems that they're adjusting their grip like someone tightening a loose bolt on a machine that's starting to hum a bit too loud. Now, before we dive into the deep end, let's lay some groundwork here. Tanzania has always played the quiet card in East Africa. Strong cultural identity, politically stable compared to its neighbors, and usually not the country making the loud headlines. But lately, things are kind of moving differently. People are questioning power structures. The youth are much louder online. The cost of living is biting way harder, and whispers of corruption are circulating like cheap gossip in a crowded barbershop. See, once again, every revolution starts with frustration, but it doesn't just stay there. It morphs, it transforms, it grows. And what we're seeing in Tanzania feels like that early stage, the part just before people stop complaining and they start acting. Now, if we zoom out a bit, if we compare Tanzania to, say, Sudan or Burkina Faso, which, by the way, we will cover in some other episodes later on, but if we compare it to, like I said, Sudan or to Burkina Faso, even if we look at the uprising that basically changed and transformed Egypt about a decade ago, there's kind of a similar rhythm underneath happening here if you pay attention. Each one started with something that looked manageable. Food prices, corruption, elections, a few arrests that kind of felt like they were a bit too convenient. The government always swore they had it under control, until they didn't. That's how revolutions usually move, not with a bang, but a slow burn. By the time you smell the smoke, the house is already halfway gone. What's interesting is also how much of this new unrest is digital. It's not being coordinated in town squares or in local pubs and bars. It's happening on Twitter, on WhatsApp groups, on TikTok even. And that brings us into the real 2025 battlefield: language and control. The fight isn't just for land or policy anymore, it's for attention. Governments, corporations, and we can't forget about our friendly technocratic overlords. They've all figured out one thing: if you can control what people see and how they talk about it, you can control how they think about it. Social media algorithms, news feeds, even AI generated narratives, they're not just shaping conversation, they're directing it. And the wildest part, most people still think that, once again, they're forming their own opinions, they're in control. But here's where it gets a little spicy. Tanzania's digital scene is one of the fastest growing in East Africa. The youth are online, connected, and no longer just passive consumers of Western culture. They're making their own. But governments see that, and they see that power, and they get nervous because once you have millions of connected young minds, you can't really predict what direction the tide will turn. And that's why you're seeing crackdowns online on speech, why certain sensitive topics are being watched or targeted, why even some influencers are suddenly finding themselves under more scrutiny because it's control. It's dressed up as maintaining peace, and this is where it gets similar to the language games that fueled other conflicts in Africa. Remember the war on terror, rhetoric that just justified surveillance and military expansion, or economic reform with slogans that really just meant austerity. Language became a weapon long before drones ever did. And so now it's digital safety, or national stability, or protecting culture. Those sound noble, but who decides what those words mean? Here's where things are starting to kind of crack. The reason this language manipulation isn't hitting as hard as it used to, it's simple. People are waking up. Not in some conspiracy theory kind of way, but in a pattern recognition kind of way. The same headlines, the same propaganda cycles, the same us versus them framing. It's all getting old. And once people stop reacting emotionally and start asking why, the system loses its grip. Now, that doesn't mean the fight's over, because knowing you're being manipulated doesn't automatically free you from it. That's the tricky part. You can feel something's off, but when every outlet, every post, every platform is reinforcing a story, breaking out of that mental loop takes real effort. And that's where communities come in. That's where independent media, podcasts, underground voices, the real ones, step in to remind people that the truth is messy, but it's still worth chasing. So let's be honest. Chasing the truth these days, it's kind of like trying to find a Wi-Fi signal in the middle of the desert. Possible, but you'll definitely burn a lot more data along the way. Now, when we talk about reclaiming control, it's not about riots or coups. It's about rebuilding and reframing consciousness. And that means refusing to let algorithms and those behind the algorithms decide what matters to you. It means questioning every narrative that feels too clean, too neat. And most importantly, it means realizing that if you're not in control, if you're not controlling your attention, like I said, someone else is. The Tanzanian people, like so many others across the continent, are standing at that crossroads. Will they be manipulated into another generation of political recycling, or will they finally start writing their own national story without permission from the powers that be? Right now, that's what the soul of every revolution, whether it's fought with rifles or hashtags and retweets. And to anyone listening, this isn't just Tanzania's problem. This is our problem as a collective. Every time we let fear dictate truth, every time we trade freedom for convenience, every time we scroll past injustice because it's uncomfortable, we hand over another piece of control. That's how empires win. Quietly. Because, Skynet didn't take over with tanks. It started with notifications. Would you like to update your system? Next thing you know, humanity's the update. The real war is, like I said before in the last episode, the real war is for your mind. And it's being fought with every word, every post, every click. But here's, of course, the good news. You can't just leave it off like that. We got some good news. Awareness spreads faster than fear when you speak clearly enough. And maybe, just maybe, this time around, people writing history won't be the ones also selling it. Anyways, that's gonna be it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of what's going on in Tanzania. This was episode 4 of Guts Clout Carnage. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's push our own algorithm. And my name is Siphon. And remember, we can make whatever difference we want if we set our minds to it. Stay conscious, stay dangerous. Peace.